guys heard a ghost story or seen a movie that ended with the 5 infamous words based on a true story? Well, since we're in like the middle of October, there's an abundance of like ghost stories, horror movies, and other scary entertainment outlets. And for most of us, this lasts only a month long. But for 2 people, this is how their entire lives was surrounded by. These 2 people were Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed's a demonologist, and Lorraine is a trance medium. And I don't know about everyone else, but personally, I'm very intrigued by all this kind of stuff. I find it very interesting. And if you look up here, that's them. And so Ed and Lorraine Warren are 2 people who are famous for their time spent doing paranormal investigations, and which they are qualified to do so due to their expertise in the field of demonology. So today I'm going to tell you about their 3 most famous cases. First, I'll be telling you about the Annabelle doll, then I'll be telling you about the Amityville Horror, and then I will be telling you about the story that's most famously known as The Conjuring. So let's start with the Annabelle doll. By the way, all this information was found on the Warrens' website, www.warrens.net. And so in 1970, Ed and Lorraine both got a call from a priest who got a call from another priest about 2 nursing students who had a peculiar doll that was causing them trouble in their home. And the doll this is the Annabelle doll, it would move around on its own, and it also would write notes on parchment paper, which is something that neither of the girls had kept in the apartment. And Ed and Lorraine decided to get involved after it attacked one of their friends twice. And so Tony Sparrow, the successor of the Warrens' occult museum and practices, states on their website in 2010 that after speaking with the girls, the Warrens immediately concluded that the doll itself wasn't possessed, however, it was being manipulated by a inhuman demonic spirit that intended to cause them harm. So after they figured all that out, they called Father Cook, and Father Cook and the Warrens they performed an exorcism on the apartment and the doll. And the Warrens took the doll home to their occult museum, which doubles as an occult museum. Oh, and occult means supernatural, basically. And on the trip back home, the Warrens were experiencing car troubles, and like their brakes failed a few times. So Ed threw some holy water on the doll in the back seat, and after that, they made it home safely. And then now the doll resides in their home in Connecticut, and in a case right there with the sign. And they hold tours occasionally, and a man came on their tour, and he went up to the case and started banging on the case, and he was like, "If you're real, like, show me." And he died on his way home.
Oh.
He hit a tree. And yeah, so I just told you about the Annabelle doll, and now I'm going to tell you about the Amityville Horror, which that's famously known. So the Amityville Horror is located on 112 Ocean Avenue in Long Island, and on November 13th, 1974 at 3:15 a.m., Robert Defoe fatally shot his 6 family members. And 6 months later, the Letts family moved in, and throughout their time there, they only spent 28 days there, and throughout their time, they experienced incredibly strange phenomena, such as cold spots, they heard voices, they would all wake up strangely at 3:15 a.m., particularly the father this happened the most to, and their daughter the youngest daughter had an imaginary friend that she called Jody, who she saw like morph into like a big, I think it was a pig, as big as the house. And so much like the other stories that I've told, the other story that I told you in the following I'm about to tell you, these stories all fall under a lot of scrutiny. And George Letts himself states on the website The Truth About Amityville, he says that he believes this story has stayed relevant because it's true. And so 20 days after the Lettses moved out, the Warrens actually conducted an investigation, and the Letts family refused to go back in, which I don't blame them. But they found out that the land that the house is built on used to be owned by a practicing black magician. He performed like rituals and things there, and also before that it was used by a tribe of Indians, the Shinnecock Indians. They had a structure on the land, and they used to house their sick or mad, and they would just kind of let them die there. So they concluded that the land was kind of cursed because of so I just told you about the Amityville Horror, and now I'm going to tell you about the Perron family, which is more famously known as The Conjuring. If I can put my card over. So the following information I'm about to tell you is all found on USA Today. And the Perron family moved into a quaint 2-story farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island in 1970. The whole family was haunted, however the mom received the most of the attention. One morning she woke up and she was taking a nap and she woke up and she had a hole in her leg, that came from a large sewing needle. And that is believed to be because of a witch named Bathsheba who lived on the land in the 1800s. She still haunts the land today, and she used to carry around a large sewing needle. And she attacked the mother the most because she still believed she was the head of the household. And Andrea Horan, which is the youngest daughter, she told Brian Alexander of USA Today in July of 2013 that the spirit thought she was the head of the household, and she resented the mother because of it. Just said that, but the Warrens paid many visits to the house during the 9-year stay that the Horans, they were bound by financial, so they had to stay there for 9 years. But they seemed to aggravate the spirit. However, they kind of helped, they kind of aggravated it, but everyone who has lived there since has experienced some type of strange phenomena. And so I just told you about the Annabelle doll, the Amityville Horror, and the Conjuring. And although Ed died in 2006 and Lorraine is for the most part retired, their work lives on. Oh, that's the ground one. Their work lives on through their son-in-law, Tony Spera. And so I'm gonna leave this quote up here to close it off. And yeah, so diabolical forces are formidable. These forces are eternal, and they exist today. These fairy tales are true. The devil exists. God exists. And for us people, our very destiny hinges upon which one we like to follow.